13. That's how old Lionel Messi was when his father put him on a plane to Barcelona. Not a scout, not an agent. His father, a man who worked in a steel plant in Rosario, who had played a bit of football himself as a midfielder, and got as far as the Newell's Old Boys youth ranks before national service ended it. His son needed growth hormone treatment. The clubs at home would not pay for it, so Jorge Messi took the boy to Spain to find someone who would, and, as reported at the time and since, that trip ended with a contract written on a paper napkin. Jorge Messi died on Saturday morning, in Rosario, at the age of 68. This is the story of what he actually did, not the story of whose father he was. The clinic treating him confirmed it. He died in the early hours of Saturday morning, after an illness. Dr. Carlos Macchi, the clinic's medical director, said no further details about the medical circumstances would be released, out of respect for the family's privacy. So we are not going to speculate about a cause. It wasn't given. That's where it ends. He is survived by his wife, Celia Cucitini, and their 4 children, Rodrigo, Matias, Lionel, and Maria Sol. Lionel was the 3rd son. Lionel has traveled back to Argentina to be with his mother and his siblings. He is not expected to feature for Inter Miami against Monterrey in the League's Cup, and reporting from Argentina suggests his return will depend on what his family needs, rather than any fixture list. If you want football covered properly, the people and the decisions, not just the highlights, subscribe to Pitchside FC and turn on notifications. Start with who he was before any of it. Jorge Horacio Messi was a chemical technician who worked in the steel industry in Rosario. Different outlets describe the role differently, some as a steel worker, some as a steel executive. So we'll leave it there rather than give you a job title we can't stand behind. He played midfielder. He got into the youth ranks at Newell's Old Boys, the club in Rosario, and then had to give it up for compulsory military service. That was the end of it. I want to sit on that for a second, because it's the part that gets skipped. The man who managed the career of arguably the greatest footballer who has ever lived had his own football taken away from him by an administrative obligation at an age when nothing is decided yet. He knew exactly what it costs when the path closes, for reasons that have nothing to do with whether you're good enough. And then his 3rd son turned out to be the best player anyone in Rosario had ever seen, and ran into a wall that also had nothing to do with whether he was good enough. A growth hormone deficiency, treatment that cost money, and Argentine clubs that would not finance it. That's Newell's, this weekend, on the man who took the boy away from them. So Jorge got him to Barcelona for a trial. The story of what happened there is one of the most retold in the sport, and the version that has held up across reporting is this. Barcelona hesitated, the paperwork dragged, and a commitment was eventually written down on a paper napkin because nobody had anything else to hand. Lionel went into La Masia. He made his professional debut in 2005, 672 goals in 778 appearances for Barcelona, 8 Ballons d'Or. Every one of those numbers exists downstream of a decision a steel technician from Rosario made about a 13-year-old. Barcelona's statement this weekend thanked him for his commitment to the club and for entrusting them with the beginning and the best years of his son's career. Read that again and notice who's being thanked for what. The club is thanking the father for the choice, not the other way round. And here's Jorge himself. Years later, on that flight, they left with dreams and illusions, and, in his own word, many fears. That's the line I keep returning to. Everyone tells this story as a triumph. He remembered being frightened. He didn't hand his son over to the industry.
Flag is up. It's deemed offside. Slips it ahead.
He became the industry, for one client. Jorge Messi served as Lionel's agent and managed his business affairs for the whole of it. Barcelona, through the glory years and through the departure that hurt. Paris Saint-Germain, Inter Miami. There's a version of this job that goes badly. Football is full of family members who took the role and shouldn't have, who cost their player money, or moves, or years.
Oh, Torres is on his way here! Ferran Torres all by himself!
It is one of the most common ways a career quietly goes wrong. 2 decades, 4 clubs, a World Cup, 8 Ballons d'Or, and the same representative the entire way. Whatever else you want to say about how it was done, the player never had to find a new one. That's Claudio Tapia, the president of the Argentine Football Association, this weekend. And UNICEF, for whom Lionel is a goodwill ambassador, remembered Jorge as a benefactor and someone committed to children's rights. Not a football tribute. Worth including for that reason. And then this summer.
Offside. Messi flying forward.
Argentina's opening match of the 2026 World Cup against Algeria. Messi scored the first of what became 3 goals that night and was visibly, unmistakably emotional on the pitch. Afterwards, he said it was something unrelated to football and that it came after a few difficult, complicated days. He didn't explain further. Days later, the family released a statement acknowledging Jorge's health situation
Martinez again. Porro. Ferran Torres.
And confirming he was receiving treatment. Jorge was not there. He had been at the important nights for 20 years and he could not be at this one. Argentina reached the final and lost it, in extra time, to Spain. Messi finished the tournament with 8 goals and 4 assists, and became the first player ever to start 3 World Cup finals. His international goals reached 125, and then he went home to Rosario and spent time with his father before going back to Inter Miami. 3 weeks later, Jorge died. If this is the kind of football story you want more of, subscribe and turn on notifications. The Argentine Football Association and the Professional Football League announced that there would be a minute's silence before every match in this week's fixtures, across every category and division in the country. Players, coaching staff and referees will wear black armbands.
Slips it at Martinez. Martinez swipes.
The flags at AFA facilities fly at half-mast until Friday the 14th. Newell's, Barcelona, Real Madrid. And if you know anything about the last 20 years of Spanish football, you'll know what it means that Real Madrid released a statement about the father of Lionel Messi. CONMEBOL, UNICEF. The Argentina national team posted an image reading simply Fuerza Leo and said they were with him. Here's what I think the record shows.
Messi flying forward. Lionel Messi!
A man in Rosario lost his own football to circumstance. Years later, his son ran into circumstance too. An obstacle that had nothing to do with talent, that money could solve and his family did not have. And instead of accepting it, the father got on a plane. Everything that followed, every trophy, every record, every argument about who the greatest is, sits on top of that one decision, made by someone who was, in his own account, frightened while he made it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Pitchside FC and turn on notifications.